Hello, y'all, and it is time to breathe again on the latest Breath of Fresh Air webcast streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So, I have Patrick Brackett with myself, Charles Taylor, and Patrick, I'm sure you will get into the story of how your eye looks. Here in a little bit. It's a funny story. I can tell you he wasn't in a fight.
I was
But
not in a fight, and it did not happen on Bro Epic. So
yeah. But we have a lot to get to, Patrick. So let's jump right into it, and we'll start with the finals. So you have your conference finals set in both the NBA and the NHL. In the Western Conference, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves knocking out the Denver Nuggets in the Game 7 in Denver. And came back, huh?
down by 20.
Yeah, it came back from 20 to win 98-90, and they will play the Dallas Mavericks, who knocked the OKC Thunder, the number one seed in the West, out in 6 games. Very, very exciting game in Game 6. So that was a 117-116 victory. And so you have Game 1 of that series starting Wednesday night in Minneapolis. In the East, you have the Boston Celtics playing the Indiana Pacers. In some people's minds, the Indiana Pacers being there is a little bit of an upset, but we pointed out in this on this show, in our humble opinions, that Indiana would run the New York Knicks out eventually. And look, give the New York Knicks credit. I mean, they are a gritty, gutty team, but they simply ran out of bodies and ran out of gas.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? As much as they ran out of gas, they were still puffing on fumes, and give them a ton of credit. Because if you look at that team full health, them Pacers might have had a struggle with them at full health, but
it might have been a different outcome.
Could have been.
I mean, that's
I'm never gonna count that Pacers team out because they were really good this year. But man, it could have been a different outcome if New York was full health. But hey, again, give all the credit to the Pacers. Look, it doesn't matter if you're full health or if you're not. The fact of the matter is you got to win, and you got to handle the games in front of you, whether that's put people on the bench or injuries or whatever. That's part of the game. Pacers took care of business. They're going to the conference championship game.
Yes, and I agree with all that, but still.
It could have totally been different if New York was
because look, the Pacers, just with the way they play, the fast pace and the strategies they had to go and continue to press on Jalen Brunson and the other guards, 94 feet, picking up the pressure. I mean, it was just, to us, like it was a matter of time. And I said the Knicks held it off for as long as they could, but you could just see in the Game 7, just the constant pace finally got to the Knicks. And so with that, the Pacers are playing the Celtics here in this Game 1. This is actually happening right now. Game 1 being in Boston. Real quickly, what are your predictions for both of the series?
Well, I'm going to take Boston in 6. I don't think that is going to be a matter of Boston playing with their food. I mean, I know we go over this every single week about Boston and how they play. I just think that this Pacers team is not just going to be one that rolls over. This will be a game, or this will be a series that Boston has to play. But we know what that defense can come with in Indiana. So I don't think that this is going to be a concept of Boston playing with their food. I just think that this is going to be honestly, the first true test that they're going to have in the playoffs is playing against this Indiana team. I think this Indiana team is really good, kind of like KC. OKC. They're kind of young. With a few players in there. I mean, I know they got a lot more experience than OKC does, but still kind of a younger team. But Doesn't change the fact that that Boston team has been gelling for 4 years, 5 years, something like that. So I'm going to go with experience, but I'm not going to say those Pacers are going to go quietly. They are not. So I think Boston will win the series, but I think it's going to take them 6 games.
What about the West?
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about one. My fault.
Yeah, I'll cover you. All right, I got you.
So with this one, 1 and 2 went out to these teams. These two teams put 1 and 2 out. So I think this is going to be an exciting series for. But I'm going to go. I'm gonna go Mavs. I'm gonna go Mavs in 6 because I feel like they are. I feel like they got something to prove. And I just think they're gonna come out firing and handle business. So Mavs in 6.
All right. So I agree with you on Boston and Indiana. I got that going 6, maybe 5. Now, a lot of this, I think, depends on the status of Kristaps Porzingis. I guess he's supposed to maybe come back in game 3. If there is an advantage Indiana could have, I think it's inside, which is why I bring up Porzingis. Because I think with Miles Turner and Pascal Siakam, they could beat Boston up inside. Al Horford is the only true big they really have right now playing inside for Boston. Now, we know Boston has a lot of perimeter depth, of course, with Tatum and Brown, Drew Holiday, Derek White, and those boys doing their thing. But I think if Indiana continuing to play with the pace and inside with Turner and Siakam, I think they can give Boston a little bit of trouble inside. But even with that, though, let's say they don't get Porzingis back by games 3 or 4, I still think Boston has enough to be able to push that and win the series pretty solidly. And I'll go 6 too. The West, I think I'm gonna go the Timberwolves here because of the defenses. Yeah, I figured you picked Dallas too, but
I really wanted to go Minnesota. I really did, but I'm kind of leaning on experience with this one,
and that's a good pick. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with any of the picks when you have
not in those two.
When you have Luka and Kyrie as well as closers, I mean that's hard to go against in there. And Dallas's defensive prowess has picked up so much with those additions of PJ Washington and Gafford inside, Derek Lively inside, Derek Jones. They through the trade deadline, they built a team with a lot of depth now, and that makes Dallas really dangerous. But I like Minnesota's defensive depth because, I mean, as it is, and I know we talked about the defense being number 1 by giving up like 106, 107 points a game.
Yeah. We're not used to that.
Yeah.
I mean, we are now, but you know, we were growing up. A good defensive team only had that team to 86.
Yeah, right. But this Minnesota defense, I mean, the way they swarm on the perimeter, the long defenders they have, Jaden McDaniels, Alexander Walker, Anthony Edwards has developed into a really good defender on the other end as well. And shoot, you're familiar with Anthony Edwards, with him being a Georgia boy. So, you know how it is with him. But he just the heart Minnesota showed to come back from 20 defending champs on the road like that. And Anthony Edwards didn't even have a good game that day. It was the other. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns, to me, I know we say that it's about him a lot, but he is the X factor for Minnesota. If he is rolling with 25-12, or if he can get somewhere close to 25-12, Minnesota becomes really tough to beat. But he has to consistently show up. If he doesn't, this is the series where it catches up with him. Dallas will win if Karl Anthony Towns is not showing up consistently. But I think he's got it in his head that he has to show up consistently, be that second, that Batman, or maybe on a couple of days, at least a Robin to what Anthony Edwards can bring as Batman. But
those two are very interchangeable. But you're right. As long as Towns comes in and he produces somewhere in that vicinity of a double-double, they're a hard to beat team. They're hard to beat. I mean, yeah, you say 25-12, but I mean, hey, if he gives 18-16, that's still good. Yeah. I mean, because Edwards can pick up those other points or whatever that Towns is dropping or he's leaving on the table. Edwards can pick those up. But yeah, if Towns comes in and he shoots and goes 6 and 8, yeah, that Edwards just can't pick up that much. Not against a team like this, because with Kyrie and Luka coming in playing the way they do, they don't leave much on the table. Those two don't leave much on the table. They'll hit from half court, and everybody knows how Kyrie's handles are. Floater, you know what I mean? So they're going to be. This is probably going to be the best series in the entire playoffs, minus the finals, depending on how the finals play out. But this is going to be the best one right here. This is going to be the funnest one because, this is that exception game where you look at it and you're like, man, defense just needs to pick up. This is one of those where you're going to go, well, that was freaking good defense, but hey, tip your cap to better offense. You know what I mean? This is that series. If you like high-scoring games that are just being contested shot after shot after shot, this is the series you want to watch because they're going to contest. There's not really going to be many charging fouls and really many blocking fouls. These boys are going to be contesting because that's what they play. These two offenses and these two defenses are going to do just that. And you're going to say that a lot. I really feel this is going to be one of those series where you're like, man, that was good defense, but just better offense.
Yeah. I think it goes 7. So I'll pick the Wolves in 7 here. It doesn't go any less than 6.
No.
I think that these two teams will be battling, and all the games I think will be pretty highly contested. I'd be surprised if there's even a solid victory. When I say solid victory, like a 15-point game or something like that. I think all these games are going to be pretty tight. But I'll go Wolves in 7, and you got the Mavs in 6.
I got the Mavs in 6 because I really do feel like if this does go 7, the Wolves will take it. So Mavs have got to handle business in the 6, or it's going to be hard for them to win.
All right. Well, Patrick, I said we were going to bring a game back. So here it is.
I'm kind of excited because you really haven't told me what this game is. So,
Patrick, you should know the game is Run It Back or Break It Up, man. Because we got
dude, you got so many games. I thought we were going to go with two.
And so
come on, man.
It's earlier, but I always like to bring up the Run It Back or Break It Up around this time of the year with the playoffs, because going out in the conference semifinal round, that's kind of that gray area. And we don't like gray areas. But if there is one, it's kind of that gray area where if you do get knocked out, there's some decisions that have to be made, depending on the squad, of course. Do you want to retool? Do you want to stay with what you got? Do you just want to just break it all up and just blow it up and start over? So with that in mind, the 4 teams in discussion, of course, we mentioned the New York Knicks, and then the other one is the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then in the West, you have the OKC Thunder and the Denver Nuggets. So we will start, since we started talking about the Knicks, let's start with them. Do you run this back or break it up with them, or somewhere in the middle?
No, we ain't gonna do it in the middle. We ain't gonna do it in the middle. I'm gonna say run this back, and this is the reason why, is because we haven't seen what the Knicks can do yet with what they have. I mean, yeah, we got Jalen Brunson. I mean, pretty Mr. Consistent, Mr. Reliable. He showed up even when he's hurt. Broke his hand in the last game. But here's the thing: is I'll say run this back. And I guess this is where you would say in the beginning, but I'd be very cautious with this one. Like, I would run this one back and see what I need before trade deadline ends and get that one piece, right? But
that's exactly what I'd be like. Is somewhere like, and that's why I said like retool. Like,
yeah, I would say run it back, get this team back, run it back, see what we have, and if we don't need nothing at trade deadline, then don't get nothing. But if we need that one piece that we know is going to put us over the top, go and get it. But I say run this one back.
I'm with you. I think the Knicks have a good mix of youth and a little bit of experience in there. I think they're learning from the experiences in the playoffs the last few years, or the last couple of years, because they made it to the conference semifinals last season as well, getting knocked out by the Miami Heat in that case. With the injuries they did have, like you said, and they're like, hey, you got to beat who is in front of you. So we already understand that. But yeah, you're right. It would be cool to see what the Knicks can do if they are able to stay whole. If they do have a Julius Randle in there, if they do have a Mitchell Robinson in the middle to go along with what they have with those guards, Jalen Brunson, you mentioned, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo made strides as well. This is a really just tough, gritty team. I do like watching the Knicks play, and if there is an adjustment, also Patrick, it might be just from within, and it might be with the coach Tom Thibodeau. Play your people, dude. Yeah. Play more people, and it was like that before all these people got hurt. I mean, he just didn't have a rotation really.
Yeah, he never really had a rotation. He always played 7 during the regular season, maybe even 8 on the most. Dude, during that season, look, bro, play 9. Play 9. There's no problem with it. Just play 9. But here's my thing. It's like, this is what I never really understood in basketball. When I was growing up, my coach always said, well, when I look at the bench, if I have 10 people, I have 60 fouls. That's the way he saw it. He's like, I don't want to see charging. I don't want to see blocking. I want to see contested shots. Every shot, I have 60 fouls. And on top of that, we press every play. So, yeah, we may not get a lot of play time, but I can tell you, when we sit down, we were like, oh, God, I needed that break. Because that's all we did. We pressed 5 the entire game for 8-minute quarters. And this was, when I was younger, 8-minute quarters, we pressed for 8 minutes, and we were running the entire time. And he's like, get down the field, get down the court, get down the court, get down the court. So if you're really going to look at the Knicks have enough youth and enough experience to do just that. So do it. Run 9, play your guys, because even with all your injuries that happened to your starters, your bench still showed up for that series and almost beat the Pacers. So play your guys. Those guys are good. And you had a hell of a bench. So play them.
Yeah, I think that's probably that's the adjustment. I think, like, if there is going to be any type of retooling, I think it does come within. I like the Knicks roster. I think they have pretty much everything they would need to be a legit contender in the Eastern Conference, and perhaps getting in the NBA Finals, depending on how you feel about, of course, Boston. I mean, Boston's not going anywhere. Indiana looks like they're going to ascend and be something to deal with. We'll see what Philly does around Joel Embiid, and of course, he has to stay healthy. But the Knicks have no reason They have no reason not to believe they can get with any of these teams with the people that are there and the coaching. If it gets better, it wouldn't be crazy to say the Knicks could be in the Eastern Conference Finals or perhaps the NBA Finals next year or maybe a couple of years, just depending on who they keep together. So, but I'm with you, Patrick. I say run it back to the Knicks. Yep. What about the Cleveland Cavs? So here's what you have with them. They got knocked out by the Boston Celtics in 5 games. Looks like they have a pretty decent cast, but how do you feel about the coach? How do you feel about the backcourt with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland? Do one of these guys end up getting traded? What do you do with the Cavs? Run it back or break it up?
I break this one up. I break it up because several reasons. The coach. I don't think. What's that?
JB Bickerstaff.
Yeah, he's got to go. I mean, yeah. Look, they handled the Magic in 7 games in the first round, but I mean, honestly, that didn't even look convincing. I mean, honestly. So I mean, look, there's a Donovan Mitchell. Look, I would probably keep Donovan Mitchell or Garland. I keep one of them. I got to see what my other options are out there, and even in the front court. I mean, like, what's the dude's name? Tall guy.
You got Evan Mobley and Jared Allen.
Dude's got to go. The dude needs to retire. Be honest with you.
I think Jared Allen's pretty good. I think
he's not getting on that team, and he's old. He's getting old, dude. I know, man. Like, he's like, at some point, you got to look at your roster, and you got to say, how am I going to hang with these guys? I mean, look, you got Boston, who is still young. You got Milwaukee, who is still young. New York,
Milwaukee's pretty damn old, actually.
Actually, yeah, they're probably the oldest out of the ones I mentioned.
And my bad. I'm glad that you brought them up because I did forget to mention them because they still have Giannis, so they could be a factor. But Milwaukee's roster.
Milwaukee's a breakup. I mean, I'll give you. Hey, bonus material. Milwaukee.
They need work. They need
a lot of work. I mean, look, they won that championship a couple years ago, but other than that, dude. You're not making it to another finals, not with that squad. You ain't making, not with all this stuff that's coming out. I mean, look at New York. I mean, we're saying running back with New York. That team is freaking legit. I mean, they really are. And if you could take it that far, and you got 30 injuries on your hand, on your I mean, dude, they were bandaging the chairs up because the chairs were broken. I mean, after Brunson broke his hand, he bandaged that up. They broke up the chairs. I mean, the bench needs the help. I mean. The spigot on the Gatorade bottle was broke. I mean, everybody was injured in New York. So you get a little bit of health in there. Milwaukee ain't handling that, and neither is Cleveland. Cleveland needs to break it up and go shopping around and see what they got out there. I mean, look, Jared Allen is a good player. He does not help that Cleveland Cavaliers team.
Yeah, this one's a little difficult to me. So I think this one definitely needs some retooling. Yes, I believe Darius Garland will be the one to go. I think he does end up getting traded to somebody. Not who, I'm not for sure. I've heard a couple of teams. I heard potentially the Spurs could bring them in. But we'll see.
It'll probably be a big trade between the Spurs, Cavaliers, and Hawks because the Hawks need to get rid of either Trae Young or
DeJounte Murray.
DeJounte Murray, and personally, I think they should get rid of Young.
Yeah, Young is he's such a liability defensively. I mean,
yeah.
But
honestly, he's such a liability offensively. I mean, he's scored, but he always irritates me when he gets the ball and then pulls up from half court with 23 seconds left on the shot clock. I'm like,
yeah, you do have to actually run some offense. But Patrick, nope, we're not. Nope, no ranting on the Hawks.
I could go.
Yeah, no, you could. No.
All right, I'll keep my mouth shut.
But Cleveland, yes. it make a little bit more room for the on the backcourt. Probably you end up trading Garland, and then in the front court. So I think Jared Allen. I think Jared Allen is okay. To me, Evan Mobley has to step his game up. If they're depending on him to be this dude, and who knows, maybe you find out he's not necessarily that dude who can get you 25 and 12 every night. But in some way, shape, or form, he has to take that next step. Like if Cleveland's going to be a championship team with the depth that you had mentioned with all those teams in the East, he's got to step it up. Like I think he's that guy who could be the X factor. I think Jared Allen, you're going to get what you get from him. I know that's one of those sayings we don't necessarily like, but he's going to get you your rebounds. He's going to give you defense. He's probably going to go about, we'll say 10 and 15 with 4 blocks. That's mostly what Jared Allen, he's consistent to give you that. But Evan Mobley has to be this dude that just says, I'm going to take the game over. And be that guy who could be with Donovan Mitchell, who I think he also has to take another step in his game as well. He has to get better defensively. We know he can score. We know he can throw up 35, 40 points. But can he become what we see from Anthony Edwards right now? I can take their best perimeter player and lock them down on top of being able to score 30, 40 points. So I think there's some breaking up there. Yeah, I'm with you. I think I would break it up, but not just a total rebuild, though. I think
I wouldn't total rebuild, but and I agree with you because if Mobley's going to do it, he can't. Look, like you said, Jared Allen's going to give you that 10 and 12, or 10 and 15, or 12 and 15. Let's say 12 and 15. And he's going to be pretty consistent. Mobley's got to do that plus. He's got to give you 20, 15, or 15 and 15. You know, he's got to match Jared Allen. But I mean, I think he gets that opportunity if Jared Allen's not there. So I think Jared Allen would be the one that goes because Mobley does have I feel he has the more potential because we know what Jared Allen's going to do. But if he's going to get that position, then you know, either that or Jared Allen's going to have to take a little bit more of a squat on the bench and give Mobley more minutes to do. I mean, because he averaged like 28, something like that for the season. He's got to have Mobley.
Nah, Mobley, I think I'd have to look at this just to make sure, but I think he was between 15 and 20.
15 and 20, and he needs to be at least 30, 32. If he's going to get those kind of numbers, I mean, if you're asking him to get those numbers, he's got to have more minutes than that. And I just don't think he's going to get those numbers with Allen there. And he does have the more potential. He has more upside. So I would probably get rid of Allen for that.
Let me look. Yeah, he was between 15. Yeah. So what I say between 15 and 20, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he averaged 15.7 and 9.4 rebounds. Yeah, that's got to pick up. That's got to go.
Yeah, but it also has got to pick up a minute. So he's got to have more minutes on the floor to get those numbers. But at the same time, he's got to prove that he can get those numbers. So to get those minutes, you got to get more numbers, and to get more numbers, you got to get more minutes. Catch 22, I get it, but as long as Allen's there, he's not going to get that opportunity.
Well, all right, Patrick, let's go over to the West. I think this one is pretty easy. The OKC Thunder.
Run it back. Don't make any changes. Run it back. I wouldn't make any changes. I'd run this back and see it. Because look, young team, you haven't gotten any experience in the playoffs like that. Run it back. Let's see what they do next year. And then we'll have a discussion again. But run it back, without a doubt.
Yeah. I mean, this is like the second or third youngest team in the league, and they're probably a little bit early. Because, I mean, they were in the play-in last year, and then they went to the number 1 seed in the West. So,
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that's coming with you. I think they're going to be along for years to come. The only thing I think they could use, though, if they are going to get better, they can add a little bit more inside depth behind Chet Holmgren. Once Holmgren went out, they really didn't have a big plan behind them.
Yeah.
So that's that, but that's it. Like, I mean, I think
dude, and even then, it's like, yes, they could use it. Do they need it? Maybe.
I think they need it.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree with you, because once he went out, and they had nobody else to really back him up. But there's gonna be somebody that steps up. That OKC team is so young, and they're still trying to figure out what they do. Like I said, I mean, I wouldn't change anything, because I think somebody's gonna step up into that backup place and be able to run it and get far more out of their team than. But that's neither here nor there. We have to see what they do. But I say run it back. Don't make any changes. Run it back and see what we got.
It's not necessarily more about them. It's just more about the teams that they have to face in the West. You look at these two teams that are left. You have Minnesota with Karl-Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, and Naz Reid behind them in the middle. Dallas has Derek Lively and Gafford. Denver, we know what they bring with Nikola Jokic. So, I mean, these are the teams that you're playing against. And two of those teams are in their division. Minnesota and Denver's in their division. So that's why I think, like, but other than that, I'm saying like one dude, like get just one who can step in and give Holmgren a few minutes, and then Holmgren, I mean, he is stick. You got to get a little bit of weight, and not like a whole bunch of weight, but get about 10, 15 pounds, just so where you can keep your functionability, so you're not losing too much out of the skill set he has. But you got to get a little bit of weight, man. Like right now, he is stick, so you didn't get him away.
Yeah, but boy, he had 15 pounds, man. He ain't gonna get moved easy.
That's true, exactly. So you get that muscle, get like gain get on the bench press a little bit, get you some soul food meals real quick, and
come to the South. What they had to eat?
Nothing some collard greens and cornbread can't fix, right?
Baked beans.
Yes. Oh man.
Green beans, baked beans, turnip greens. Cornbread, milk.
And you gotta throw the peach cobbler in there too.
Peach cobbler, apple pie.
Patrick, nope. We cannot get on a food discussion. No, not right.
Hey, we'll run that back.
You run that back later on. Yeah.
Hey, no doubt about it. We'll run that one back.
We will run the food conversation back. Absolutely. But yes, I agree. OKC, no, without a doubt, run this back.
The sweet tea, Charles.
What about the Denver Nuggets? Don't get me started.
What about them, dude? Who cares? We're talking about food.
No, yep. Patrick, back on topic. So
fine. Okay. Denver Nuggets. I say run it back, dude. And the reason why is because look, they ran into a strong Minnesota team, but it took them 7, and they showed a lot of life. The only thing that I would say with that Denver needs is they need a what's the word I'm gonna give me a second, I'll think of it. They need a motivational check. That's what they need. Because if anything that happened to them, they need to realize that you can't throw warming pads on the floor. You can't get down 2-0 and then have to scratch your way back to get to 2-2. And they need to make sure that they don't lose a 20-point lead. So with those 3 things, obviously those are a combination that really kind of led to the demise of the Denver Nuggets this year. Come back in with a strong mindset, a very strong mindset, and you run that back. You get them in a strong mindset, you run it back, they could be finals champions again next year. Same team.
Yeah, I would run it back to look. I mean, if you win the title the year before, and then you get into the your game 7 of the conference semifinals. There's really not too much you need to change on a roster like that. You pretty much have what you need. I think so. I'm with you on the internal check. And I think that starts with the coach, Michael Malone. I think looking at his press conference, obviously, look, you're upset, you're not happy about how things going, but I mean, you're cussing out reporters, and you're you're mad because look, y'all blew a 20-point lead, but don't be mad at the reporters, be mad at yourself because y'all let that happen. Like you said, no one told y'all to get down 2-0, losing the first 2 games at home. No one told y'all to be throwing heat pads. Jamal Murray can't do that. And
not call out anybody, but
hey, you know us. We don't care.
I call him out, Murray.
Yeah,
call him out.
but for that to happen, you got to look at the head coach there. Like that's self-control there. That's something that should never happen under a head coach's watch. Never happen. And so that's why I think it starts with the coaching there and that environment. Now, obviously, you've been able to win a championship, been in the running for another one. So, I mean, it's not necessarily a environment where Michael Malone is losing the team or that his message is getting stale with the players. But the discipline sometimes seems to lack. And I think when you are blowing leads like that in a game 7, that's where it starts to show. And you could just look at like how everything materialized in the second half of that game, Patrick. You could tell Denver just kind of lost their poise there.
Yeah.
Crazy passes, not good shot selection. The other people besides Jokic and Murray, they got to step up. I mean, those 2 dudes scored 69 of the 90 points. Where is the bench? Where are the other people? Where's Michael Porter Jr.? Where's Kentavious Caldwell-Pope? Where are those other dudes? Where's Aaron Gordon at? Aaron Gordon had been playing pretty well, but disappeared in that game. So, I mean, I just say all that just to sum it up. I am with you. I would run it back to with the attitude adjustment. There you go.
That's the word I was looking for. They need an attitude adjustment. But look, here's the thing: is those players followed their coach. Coach acted like an ass. They acted like an ass. Plain and simple. And you really kind of saw Denver shoot themselves in the foot over and over again. Those first 2 games, you don't lose those first 2 games at home. You at least get one. You lose both of those games, and then you have to get your team together to look at a few things to be like, well, everybody's ruled you out. Where's your heart? And then all of a sudden they come out and they blow them out in the game 3. And I'm like, why does it take that for you to be motivated to win? I mean, like, it shouldn't have took that. So to me, that's still another shot in the foot. So you shot yourself foot in game 1 because you lost that one. You shot yourself in the foot in game 2 because you lost that one. You shot yourself in the foot in game 3 because you gave up a mental advantage that you had over your team because it took listening to ESPN to get you going. Then they win game 4, but Murray's throwing heating pads on the floor, so therefore you shot yourself in the foot because now Minnesota knows that they got you now. So you can't keep shooting yourself in the foot and expecting to win a series. And you sure as hell can't go in there thinking that you deserve to win because you're the Denver Nuggets and you won the finals last year. You got a target on your back. So here's my thing. Run it back. Get that attitude adjustment because that's where it is. It's here. You lost not because of your lack of ability to play. You lost because you lack ability to stay focused. And that's the reason why they lost.
All right, Patrick. Let's switch gears for a little bit. So we're gonna jump into college sports because these are crazy landscape changes here. Now, there's a couple of things I wanted to bring up with So there was a player, which we'll get to here in a little bit, who, yeah, he just sued the University of Florida. Oh, wow. So we'll get to that in a
matter of time. It was a matter of
exactly. We'll get to that in a minute. But check this one out too, Patrick. So the Big 12 Conference, they decided to settle this case. So this is coming from the House versus NCAA case that is related to a lot of antitrust cases. And it basically just goes to whether or not players should get paid. And we've been talking a lot about that in the last few months and years, actually, when it comes to the NIL deal and how it affects the transfer portal, all that good stuff. Well, what the Big 12 came up, and I mean, they became basically the first named party to vote to settle the case, the House versus NCAA case. So basically what happens is it gives the schools the ability to directly pay the players. Now, we know with a lot of the money, especially coming out with the NIL deals, it's been done by the boosters. Of course, Nick Saban famously had brought up A&M paying for every player when A&M had the top recruiting class back in 2022. And plus, I bring this up because it gives me an excuse to bring up Jimbo Fisher and do the devil. Don't you talk about the devil. You look at the devil. You look at Nick Saban. So, all right, I just wanted to do that real quick. But, but Patrick, this is setting the stage for what we had discussed probably a couple years ago, especially when NIL started to really bubble up once everybody got the okay with it, and that is the NCAA basically just starting to become obsolete. Now the NCAA is over here trying to do their under the table thing like the NCAA would do, basically trying to keep all the money for themselves. That's what the NCAA is about. That's why we got them. Yeah, that's why we got them as one of the top 3 or 4 corrupt organizations in the world.
Do not rule out the IRS.
So that's what I said. F4. But what do you say about this? I mean, is this a thing where you're like, this is only a matter of time, or this is just it was to be expected, but this is setting the stage for the NCAA to be obsolete.
Well, so the NCAA did this to themselves. I mean, look, you could sit and put in the NIL deals, right? Because everybody was doing it anyway. So all you did was give the okay for everybody to do what they've been doing already. That's all you did.
Yeah, under the table deals are happening a long time ago.
Oh yeah, forever, dude. I mean, forever. So all you did was give it the okay because you probably were going to waste more money trying to figure out who was doing it and trying to stop it than what you realized, because how many schools are there? 145 Division I college?
Yeah, but I say that.
Yeah. How many offers can you have on 100? We'll say 200, just to be safe. How many can you do on 200? Because you might as well go ahead and just indict them all. Just every one of them, because they're all doing it. I mean, even if you don't want to claim your school was doing it, hey, look, Notre Dame, we get it. You're a Christian school, we get it. But guess what? Doesn't stop money to keep flowing. It doesn't. Plus, Rudy was offsides. But, and I only bring him up so I can say that. So, but the thing is that they've been doing it forever. So NCAA just sits there and just says, okay, well, let's just approve what they're all going to be doing because we're going to be wasting so much money on it, and then we'll just get our little cut off the top. Well, look, schools are going to start wanting to do it on their own. Schools are going to want to start doing everything their way. And what are you going to do? Nothing. You've already signed your rights away. You already signed anything that you were going to do or anything that you could say when you said, we're going to approve the NIL. You're done. You were done. And we said that we said that about 2 or 3 years ago. They're done.
Wild, Wild West.
Yeah, it was Wild, Wild West, and it still is. And now it's starting to get a little structure to it. And we're fixing to talk about one of the reasons why there's going to be a lot of structure coming to the NIL deals right here in just about 2 minutes. But here's the thing, is that at some point, Wild Wild West has to evolve to structurized system. And when it evolves to a structurized system, NCAA can't put those rules in. The schools have to. Schools monitor themselves. They've been monitoring themselves for years. They know what to do. Let them monitor themselves. NCAA just needs to just go ahead and be okay with exiting out the back door, stage left, get out, because you're no longer relevant. And now we can go down to 3 corrupt systems because NCAA is out the door.
Yes. So for those of y'all who don't know the other 3, okay, what is Patrick said one, the IRS.
The IRS.
The other 2 are FIFA and the IOC.
The IOC. And I will swear up and down the IRS is the worst out of all of them.
So you mentioned, and I agree with everything you said. I mean, because the NCAA, that they're trying to hold on now, and they really can't, because like you said, the schools and the conferences are basically taking it upon themselves to deal with it. So, but that case you mentioned, so here you go. So there's a player named Jaden Rashada. Mm-hmm. So he was a former ESPN 300 quarterback recruit. He originally committed to Miami, but dropped that and went to the University of Florida. So now things didn't work out with their NIL deal, and he is now suing the University of Florida and their head coach, Billy Napier, is saying he was defrauded of millions of dollars in name, image, and likeness money. So, wow.
Who saw that?
Patrick,
raise your hand. Saw that coming?
Yeah. So, what is your thoughts about this, Patrick? Go.
About damn time somebody did it. Because here's the thing, like you said, Wild Wild West, and as long as it's Wild Wild West, everybody's going to do what they want to do, and that's including the coaches, the boosters, the NIL deals, the players. I mean, look, nobody's loyal to anything anymore. It's Wild Wild West. This is the start to structurized systems, because I'm going to tell you right now, whatever's going on in Florida, there's a side conversation going, okay, how do we prevent this from happening again? And I'm going to tell you right now, Georgia, who is dealing with it right now, they're going, how do we prevent this from happening? We need something in. And every other college is looking at it the same way, because this is a high profile deal right here, because this is millions and millions of dollars. And I can guarantee you right now, there's probably, there could be a good 75 to 100 of them this year that's fixing to come out just because of what he just did. And it's time to start structurizing it. And we've been saying this for years. You know, as soon as it came out, it was like, this is too Wild Wild West. They need to put structurized systems in, or they're going to get hit. Oh, here we are. Didn't want to put structurized systems in? Okay, well, time to get hit up. Somebody's getting hit up.
And this was crazy. So the deal, it's so funny how this sounds so much like a contract.
Yeah.
This was contingent. So he didn't go to Florida, apparently. And his arrival in Gainesville, of course, where the University of Florida is at, this was contingent on a 4-year, $13.85 million NIL deal.
Yep.
And he wanted a release from his letter of intent when the deal fell through. That is crazy. I mean, and going back to what we were saying, just what we were talking about with the Big 12 saying, you know what? Hey, let us just deal with the schools. Screw it. Like, if you want to go to the school and you're wanting to go to the school, then the school should be the one to go ahead and directly pay it. If that's how we're going to go about it. Because when you got the third party, which in this case is the boosters, they may or may not pay. And so now you have this player who's going to say, what? You ain't going to give me this 4-year, $13.85 billion deal? Out.
I'm out.
Yeah, I want my letter of intent, tear it up, so I can go somewhere else.
Yeah.
It is, but like you said, and I think that's part of the reason, just kind of going off on the side here a little bit. I think that's part of the reason why some coaches like Nick Saban said, I'm out. I'm done. Because I don't think he really wanted to deal with it, because he probably saw it coming to where it's going to get to a point where the schools, like directly, like Nick Saban's going to be the negotiator of the contracts. The GM, or not the GM, but the athletic directors are going to be the ones who are, and maybe the school president is in there as well, but definitely the athletic director is basically going to be, he's the de facto GM.
Yep.
That's what it is. And that's why it's no longer college sports anymore. I think that was gone a long time ago. This is straight up semi-pro. That's what this is.
Semi-pro, NFL.
Yeah.
The contracts are contracts now.
Yep.
And if they don't like it right now, the students. But here's the thing: is it's fixing to get very nasty for the players, because colleges are going to do what they do best, and they're going to protect themselves. Florida is fixing to put a whole crap ton of
there's going to be a lot of stipulations.
There's going to be a lot of stipulations. You want to come play at Florida? Fantastic. Come and play at Florida, but this is what the stipulations are. And it's fixing to get really ugly for a lot of these students, because a lot of these students are going to be like, what else am I going to do? You know what I mean? And they're going to hold all the marbles, every one of them. And NCAA, I mean, we want to sit and criticize the NCAA, but the NCAA kept both of those parties at bay. They really did. Not on purpose. They just kind of did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they were still pocketing all the money.
Yeah, they were pocketing all the money. So they kind of kept they kind of kept everything at bay. But when they said, okay, and honestly, I think the NCAA kind of stepped out because they were tired of dealing with it. So they were like, you know what? Y'all want to deal with what we had to deal with to keep everybody happy? Fantastic. NIL deals are in place. Go for it. And now here's the repercussions of that.
See, and Patrick, so at its core, like you said, they kind of stepped into it by accident. But at its core, the NCAA is the governing body for college sports at its core. What it turned into is a cash grab. It turned into a money grab. They saw the money that was coming in from all these events. So you have the BCS. Of course, you've always had March Madness, but particularly in football, you had the BCS, and then that evolved into the college football playoff. Now this is supposed to be a 12-team playoff starting this year, and everything just turned into, let's get this money, get this money, get this money. The players who, I mean, everybody's coming to see, and the stuff is kind of being built on their backs, they're not seeing any of it. So of course the players are going to start getting upset, and they're going to say, why can we not see some of this money? Now, I do believe, and like you and I, we've gone back and forth on this, but I feel, yes, the players should see a cut of this. How much? That's debatable. It just depends on what you think is compatible for them. Should they get a stipend? Should they get whatever is coming to them in terms of whatever revenue? Do they get a cut of the revenue, or do they do it like how they're doing it now with the NIL deals? It just depends on where you stand with that. But like you said, a lot of this, especially once NIL started to come through, it was just a matter of time before something like this happened. To where a player is going to say, what? You ain't going to give me my 4-year deal? And Florida's over here like, yo, homie, you didn't enroll.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, neither one of them have a leg to stand on. But here we are. And it's crazy to me because here's the deal: is unfortunately it needed to happen. It has to happen. This has to happen for the progression of NIL in college sports. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not denying the fact that this is still a money grab. That's all this is. This is all a money grab. Like you said, we're going to 12 teams next year. And hey, don't get me wrong. I'm going to be rooting for my dogs. Heck yeah, I am. You know what I mean? But I will say this. I'm kind of losing the interest because now it is just a money grab. You know what I mean? It's like when you play a video game and you get on the core of it and you're really enjoying the game, and then all of a sudden it becomes a pay to win game. Then you lose your interest in it because I don't want to pay to play a game all the time. You know what I mean? So you got to lose interest, and this is that start of everything being a money grab for college football. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of money in it. If I could, Bro Epic gonna be in it. I gotta get my pay too. You know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is that this is the start, and it has to happen. This has to happen for the progression of NIL in college football because it cannot stay wild, wild west forever.
All right, Patrick. Well, hey, we got a few minutes. Let's tackle a little bit of NHL, or we'll drop the puck on a little bit of NHL. Conference finals are in there too. So you have the New York Rangers and the Florida Panthers in the Eastern Conference Finals. Western Conference Finals is the Dallas Stars against the Edmonton Oilers. Who do you have playing in the Stanley Cup Final?
Man. All four of those teams are so flipping good, man.
I got you, man. I'm going Dallas and Florida. So, all right, go ahead. My bad. Sorry.
You're going Dallas and Florida? Yeah. I'm not going to lie, man. I was leaning on Dallas and Florida, too, because I was going to say that those Stars knocked out the Golden Knights. Then they beat the Avalanche.
Last two Stanley Cup winners, by the way, too.
Yeah, last two Stanley Cup winners. And I don't see any reason why the Oilers would – I don't see the – I mean, look, the Oilers are going to play well. I'm going to go Stars in 7, and I'm going to go Panthers in 6.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I'm going to do Dallas. I think Dallas wins in 6. And I wouldn't be surprised if they won in 5. I know Edmonton. Yeah, I know Edmonton has Connor McDavid and all, like the good 2 lines at least. But Dallas goes 4 deep. And I just think Dallas, I wouldn't be surprised if they run Edmonton out the building. I really wouldn't. But
there's a potential for it. There is a potential for it. But I'm going to say Edmonton is not where they're at because they roll over.
Yeah, they'll get 2. I think they get 2.
I think they get 2. I do think they get 2 without a doubt. So I like my pick. I think Dallas, though, this is what Dallas does. They win big, they lose small. That's what's going to happen. So, and what I mean by that is, let's say, for example, they win game 1 and lose game 2. So they win game 1, they're going to win it 7-2, and they're going to lose 3-2. That's what I mean. When they win, they're going to win big, and when they lose, they're going to lose small. That's how good that team is, because their losses could go either way. With that being said, Connor McDavid and that Edmonton team, they do have 2 great lines, and they have a third line that is okay. Dallas, like you said, they run 4 lines. Most of the time, they're going to run 3, and they're going to use the 4th line, especially now. And this time, they're going to use that 4th line probably for fillers to give a little bit of extra. But they're going to run those 3 lines. Dallas is going to run 3 lines and probably 4 blue liners. And I don't see why Panthers would change anything they're doing. They're going to run 3 lines, and they're going to run 4 blue liners, and this is how we're going to go. And I got Dallas winning in 7. And now, don't get me wrong, it would not surprise me they could put Edmonton out in 6. But I do think it goes 7. But that Panthers team, they're pretty legit too. I just don't think the Rangers has what it takes to hang with them like that. So I'll go. No, I take that back. I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna reschedule. I'm gonna go Stars in 6, and I'm gonna go Panthers in 6 because pretty much it's the same matchup on both sides.
Yeah, Panthers, I just think are tougher than the Rangers are. And I just think that they're just going to get in there. And eventually, the physicality the Panthers play, I think, will take over in that series. So, yeah, I'm going Dallas in 6. Yeah, I'm with you. Dallas in 6, Panthers in 6 is what I have to. Well, all right, that will conclude this edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast. That's what we're breathing on for tonight. So y'all make sure y'all visit the Breath of Fresh Air YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button, and follow the Breath of Fresh Air Facebook page. Patrick, Bro Epic plug.
Bro Epic show is out. Hockey Challenge is out there. So go to YouTube, check that out, hit that subscribe button, and show us some love. And then we got a few things coming out on TikTok and Instagram. But check that Hockey Challenge out. It's a good one.
Yes, I actually got to finish it myself. So, yep, bad job by me. Bad job. So, everybody, take care, and we will see you next week. If you don't talk before then, enjoy the long weekend. It is Memorial Day weekend coming up. But also remember that Memorial Day weekend is a moment to honor the fallen, the people who have given the ultimate sacrifice to have the rights we can enjoy for today. And of course, Patrick, I mean, we're vets, so we understand that struggle. So just understand that and keep those in mind who have paid the ultimate sacrifice when you guys are out and you're enjoying time with your families. So until then, everybody take it easy, and we will see you next week.